At 12:03 a.m., the Harrison house was draped in the velvet stillness that only the deepest hours of night can bring. Outside, a thin crescent moon hung low, its pale light pooling on the lawn in a silver haze. Inside, the only illumination came from a small nightlight in the hallway and the dying embers in the living room fireplace, where a bed of orange coals glowed faintly beneath ash-blackened logs. Mark and Elise Harrison were fast asleep in their master suite, lulled by the gentle whir of the ceiling fan and the steady rhythm of their own breathing. Two doors down, their daughter Sophie lay curled beneath her pastel quilt, clutching a stuffed rabbit. In the guest room, Elise's mother, Martha, rested on a fold-out bed, a half-finished crossword puzzle peeking from beneath her pillow. Meanwhile, on the plush carpet of the front hallway, Duke, the family's 2-year-old golden retriever, lay sprawled in a deep doze. His chest rose and fell in slow, contented pants. Across the hall, Luna, sleek midnight black feline and self-appointed guardian of the Harrison clan, sat perched atop the stair banister, her bright green eyes gleaming like twin emeralds in the dim light. Down in the family room, the embers shifted restlessly. An electric outlet behind the television cabinet, long overdue for rewiring, sputtered with a low crackle that went unnoticed above the hearth's gentle hiss. A thin wisp of acrid smoke curled skyward, ghost white against the room's soft shadows. Luna's ears pricked at the unfamiliar hiss. From her vantage point, she could see the curtains, long and silken, drifting toward the hot outlet. A single spark flared at the fabric's hem, then vanished into the folds. Luna's pupils constricted to narrow slits. At the same instant, Duke's dreams were jolted by a faint pop, like the sound of distant firecrackers. He shot to his paws, fur bristling, and let out a single low growl. His muscles tensed as he sniffed the air, nostrils flaring at the tang of melted plastic. He padded forward, body low, following the scent toward the family room door. Upstairs, Luna leapt from the banister without a sound, landing on all fours in the hallway. She let out a soft chuff, an animal's prelude to alarm. Duke joined her at the top of the stairs, the two of them standing side by side, eyes fixed on the closed door. A thin ribbon of smoke began to curl underneath the door's threshold. In that breathless moment, cat and dog exchanged a silent understanding. Something dangerous was happening down below. With a simultaneous bark and hiss, Duke's deep bark mixing with Luna's insistent hiss, they sounded the first warning of the night. Their midnight paws would be the spark that awakened an entire household just in time. Luna and Duke paused at the top of the staircase, their senses straining against the growing haze. The acrid tang of burning insulation stung Luna's nostrils, while Duke's sensitive ears picked up the faint crackle of electrified wiring and the dull roar of heat. Below them, a thin wisp of gray smoke curled through the gap beneath the family room door, its fingers teasing at the wood's varnish. With deliberate stealth, Luna slinked down the first few steps, her paws silent on the carpeted runner. She kept low, body taut, tail brushing the banister. Duke followed, each heavy paw print swallowed by the thick carpet. By the time they reached the bottom, the glow from the smoldering outlet had intensified into an eerie orange flare. Luna slipped around the corner into the living room first. The television cabinet's backside had melted, its plastic panels dripping molten rivulets onto the hardwood floor. The base of the curtains was aflame, the fire's hungry orange tongues licking up the silky fabric, consuming it in a cascade of sparks. As the fabric burned, a shower of embers drifted upward, feeding the nascent blaze along the wall. Duke positioned himself between the fire and the hallway, his body forming a living barrier. He barked, 3 sharp, urgent bursts, each one punctuating the crackle of flame. Luna backed toward the door, shoulders lowered, and issued a raspy hiss, amplifying Duke's warning. Together, their combined alarm shattered the midnight silence. Upstairs, Sophie stirred, nose twitching at the smoky scent, and murmured in her sleep. Martha, lying in the guest room directly above the living room, coughed and sat up, eyes closing against the stinging smoke. Elise bolted upright in bed, panic surging as the distinct sounds of barking and hissing reached her ears. Mark, stirred by the commotion, flung back his covers and raced toward the stairs. At the top of the stairs, he paused, coughing. "Elise!" he called, voice thick with concern. Elise emerged from the master bedroom, eyes wide. Fire! It's the living room, she gasped. They exchanged a terrified glance, then sprinted down together. By the time they reached the bottom step, the fire had gained strength. Flames ate through the wall's drywall, revealing charred studs beneath. Thick smoke billowed into the hallway. But there, between the doorway and the rising inferno, stood Duke and Luna, their eyes locked on Mark and Elise. Duke let out one more resonant bark, and Luna hissed, then darted back into the hall. Mark understood immediately. "Kids!" he shouted, turning on his heel as he sprinted for the children's rooms. Elise followed, securing the front door behind her to prevent the blaze from drawing in more oxygen. Behind them, Duke and Luna kept their vigil, guardians at the gate, ensuring the family escaped the spreading flames just in time. Elise bolted upright in bed, her heart pounding like a blacksmith's hammer. Duke's urgent barks, sharp, insistent, echoed through the upstairs hallway, punctuated by Luna's harsh, staccato hiss. Smoke drifted under the master bedroom door, curling like a phantom finger through the crack beneath. Clutching the edge of the mattress, Elise swung her legs over the side and scrambled to her feet. The acrid tang of burning plastic tickled her nostrils, and she could taste the faint metallic bite of melting wiring on her tongue. "Mark!" she screamed, voice raw with panic. Mark sprang from his side of the bed, knocking a glass of water from the nightstand. It shattered on the floor, droplets scattering across the carpet. He yanked on a robe and sprinted into the hallway. The dim glow of the nightlight revealed Duke's broad form, pressed against the doorway, ears pinned back, tail stiff, while Luna crouched low, claws extended on the threshold. "Fire!" Mark roared, fumbling at the doorknob as Elise caught up behind him. The door swung inward on its second try, and they were met with a wall of gray smoke shot through with angry orange flickers. The curtains, once a soft ivory, now snapped in the heat, sparks raining onto the carpet. Instinct took over. Mark grabbed the nearest pillow and beat at the flames, licking the carpet's edge, trying to smother them, while Elise lunged for the cordless phone on the entry table. Smoke filled her lungs, making her cough and stagger, but she forced out a strained, "911, house fire. Our address is 214 Birch Lane. Send help now." Downstairs, Duke barked again, driving the couple up the stairs. "Kids!" Mark shouted. He and Elise barreled down the hall, Elise opening Sophie's door first. There, Sophie lay tangled in her quilt, eyes fluttering open at the commotion. The glow of flame reflected in her wide pupils. Elise scooped her up, pressing the child's back against her chest as she whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here." Next, Mark swung open Martha's door. The older woman, Elise's mother, coughing, sat up in bed, blankets streaming to the floor. "Fire, dear," Mark said, voice urgent as he helped her stand. He wrapped her gently in his robe before guiding her toward the stairs. At the foot of the stairs, Duke and Luna stood guard. The dog stepped aside to let the family pass, and Luna darted past Elise's ankles into the arms of little Sophie, who giggled despite her tears. Outside, a chill February wind bit at their bare feet as they spilled onto the front lawn. Mark slammed the door shut, Elise leaning her back against the cool wood as she shepherded Sophie and Martha toward the safety of the driveway. Less than 90 seconds had passed since Luna's first hiss and Duke's fateful bark, but it had been a lifetime for the Harrisons. As the last of them gathered, Mark clutching the pillows and bedding he'd grabbed in haste, they heard the distant wail of sirens. Fire Engine 24 tore onto Birch Lane, lights blazing red through the early morning gloom. In that instant, the Harrisons realized, without their midnight sentinels, they might never have awakened in time. And all around them, the black sky burned with a new respect for the small, four-legged heroes, whose alarm had saved them from the hungry blaze within. Within minutes of the Harrisons' escape, the wail of sirens tore through the pre-dawn stillness. Fire Engine 24 skidded onto Birch Lane, lights slicing through the smoky haze as 6 firefighters leapt into action. Captain Reyes barked orders. "Line to the front! Back up the tanker! Ventilate the second floor!" Mark Harrison guided 2 crew members to the front door. He pried open the warped frame just enough for them to aim their high-pressure hose into the family room. A brutal jet of water slammed into the roaring flames, hissing as steam billowed out. Inside, smoke curled like angry serpents. But through the doorway, Captain Reyes spotted Duke and Luna, crouched at the threshold. tails still stiff, eyes bright. "Ah, those two saved the family," Reyes muttered. He knelt beside Luna, offering a gentle scratch behind her ears. Luna nudged his hand, her purr faint but unmistakable. Across the porch, Duke's chest heaved in and out as he wagged his tail in a slow, triumphant thump. Upstairs, firefighters in full gear punched holes in the second-floor window frames to release trapped smoke and heat. As water streamed over the roof, a lullaby of clanking metal and rushing water replaced the blaze's roar. Within 10 minutes, the last flickers surrendered to the onslaught, and the living room, once a furnace of flame, lay drenched and steaming. Inside the charred shell, Captain Reyes and his crew conducted their final checks. They found the shorted outlet and the melted drapery's scorched remnants, but no casualties. Stepping out, Reyes called over his shoulder, "All clear, no one left inside." Elise and Sophie, wrapped in blankets on the lawn, watched as firefighters emerged, faces streaked with soot, but grins unbowed. Mark approached Reyes, voice thick with gratitude. "You got here just in time," he said, "but Luna and Duke gave us the warning." Reyes crouched beside Duke, offering a salute. "That bark, that hiss," he said, nodding at Luna. "No, that's what we call an early warning system. You two deserve medals." He reached into his pocket and produced two small firefighter's paw pins, one for Luna's collar and one for Duke's harness. As the sun's first rays pierced the dissipating smoke, the Harrisons gathered on the soggy porch. Neighbors and friends had already begun to arrive with coffee, pastries, and hugs. Clara hugged Luna to her chest, tears of relief sparkling in her eyes. Sam lavished Duke's head with pats as the dog's golden fur glimmered in the new light. In the calm aftermath, embers hissing into steam, hoses winding down, and the chatter of relieved voices, the Harrisons realized at last that their home had been spared by two unlikely heroes. And as the barn's silo silhouette emerged from the wandering smoke, it stood as witness to a truth the family would never forget. Courage and compassion can come on four paws. And sometimes, the smallest alert can save the greatest treasure: life itself. By the time the first true light of dawn filtered through the ash-blackened window frames, the Harrisons stood on their sodden front lawn amid a community of neighbors and firefighters. The air still carried the damp, acrid tang of smoke, mingled with the earthy sweetness of freshly fallen rain. In the pale glow, the once proud living room stood gutted, charred floorboards, blackened studs, and the splayed remains of the drapes. But the family was whole and safe, thanks to two vigilant hearts. Mark wrapped an arm around Elise's shoulders as Sophie toddled forward, clutching a plush Luna toy gifted by Captain Reyes. "We lost furniture," Elise said softly, voice catching. "But we still have each other, and Luna and Duke." As if on cue, Luna leaped from Clara's arms onto the low porch railing, her glossy coat gleaming in the morning light. Duke sat at the top step, chest heaving, tail thumping in slow, proud strokes. Firefighters dismantled their hoses and rolled up the tarpaulins covering the yard's grass. Captain Reyes approached the family, carrying two small framed certificates. "Now, on behalf of Fire Engine 24, she announced, "we honor these two with our Bravery Paw Award for early warning and life-saving action." She pinned the certificates, one depicting a stylized cat silhouette, the other a dog's profile, onto a hand-painted wooden plaque the Harrisons had prepared the night before. The neighbors applauded, children clustering to pet Luna and Duke as they accepted the honors with calm dignity. Across the street, the local news crew filmed the scene, homeowners offering coffee and steaming thermoses, reporters capturing tearful interviews, and a steady stream of community volunteers offering cleanup help. Beneath the bustle, a deeper current of gratitude ran strong, a recognition that in the still hours of midnight, a cat's hiss and a dog's bark had called them to action and turned what could have been tragedy into a story of survival. Later that day, as restoration crews boarded up the ruined walls, Mark and Elise led their children back inside, now wearing protective masks, to retrieve keepsakes, family photos, Sophie's first birthday quilt, and the family Bible. In the living room's battered hearth, they placed Luna's black paw prints, made with washable paint, on a fresh sheet of plywood destined to become a commemorative wall hanging. Duke sniffed the edges approvingly, nudging Mark's hand until it found his collar, where Mark fastened a small metal tag engraved with the date, "Saved by Luna and Duke, July 14th, 2025. That evening, as the sun set without a whisper of smoke, the Harrisons lit a new fire in the repaired hearth, this time under careful watch. Luna curled on the mantel, eyes half closed in contentment, while Duke lay stretched by the hearth's glow. Mark poured them each a bowl of fresh water and a handful of treats. Elise settled into the repaired sofa. Sophie nestled between her legs, and they watched the flames dance, a living reminder that bravery sometimes comes on four paws, and that love, vigilance, and the softest of alarms can save an entire family.